All right, guys, welcome back to the YouTube channel. The reason I said the YouTube channel is because I'm thinking about changing the name. But you already know. Welcome back to Becoming Better Daily, where we becoming better daily, mentally, physically, spiritually, all of that. Okay. And today I'm coming at y'all. I'm coming to y'all with a different kind of video, right? Because today is more about a reflection of just kind of my week, and I might do these more often. But sharing the themes that's been coming up for me, and one thing has been humility, right? And I've been looking at that through so much scripture, so many life experiences, that I was like, let's just make a video at 2:10 in the morning, right? Why not, right? So let's just get into it, right? So someone asked me a question this week. They were like, it was like, I noticed that whenever you get accolades or somebody says something great about you, you always go to saying, oh, something about God, saying God allowed this to happen, or thank you, God, or giving God the credit, right? And so it was really good because it was like a springboard for this conversation that we're going to have today, or what I'm going to share with you today. So I just want to talk about that for a moment, right? Because as we walk with the Lord obviously he exalts us, right? As we walk with him, he keeps working with us, and we become better, we become great, and he uses us as a vessel, right? Not saying that he doesn't use us when we're in the beginning, but I'm just trying to say that the Lord uses us, and the walk gets better day by day. It's like it gets more exciting, and we can hear more from him, right? And so I'm thinking about it, and I'm like, that's such an important topic because I do that for a reason. I always like to keep God at the center of things because I always have to remind myself, don't get too hyped, because it's not me, it's all of him, right? And I know that could frustrate people sometimes because they just want to see you take the credit, but that's just not how I'm built. So as I was reading my Bible over the last week, one thing that I kept seeing, as I'll come to like Israel, right? Because there's so many parts on Israel where God will be like that he saved them and he did all of these things, but they still turned from him, right? So it shows me, we all know that God is a jealous God, but it shows me that part of God's wrath is when his people do not acknowledge him, but they acknowledge other people, whether it's themselves, it's their own idols, or whatever it is, but basically not giving God the credit. And so I try to be very intentional about that. But one story I really want to turn our attention to today is Solomon. Sorry, y'all know I'm in my car. I'm trying to freestyle this. I haven't done this one with the microphone in the car. But yeah, so the story I want to go to is Solomon, right? And this story was so good because I think this was a great example of what happens when we're humbled, and then when we get a little ahead of ourselves and we start indulging and forgetting where we came from, or like whose we are, and through that who we are. So if y'all don't know, real quick synopsis of the story of Solomon. So Solomon was the wisest man in the Bible, right? And wisdom is one of the greatest things you can have. And he was actually very young too when he took on this role of being king. So Solomon basically went to God, and he asked God for wisdom on how to navigate his position that he was taking on. And so with that, God gave him the wisdom, but he also poured on him on like a cherry on the top. He gave him riches of like homes and everything that you could think of, right? Like Solomon was the richest man in the Bible. So God overdid himself. You know how he says more abundantly, like God wasn't playing with Solomon. He really did show us that. Sorry, my lock. So Solomon, he goes and he gets these riches, and God blesses them, and he says that he's going to look over Solomon and he asked for one thing. He asked that Solomon continue as his forefathers did, right? To bless the Lord, to stay with his eyes on him and live an upright, righteous life. So Solomon, was like, okay, cool, like I got that. And now this man Solomon, he's living so wise, he's living so good, that, and this is, I like to highlight this too, right? Because when you're doing good, you don't have to be like, I did this. He wasn't like, yeah, your boy Solomon, holla at me, I'm right, I'm wise, I'm rich, I'm this, I'm that, right? He was just living in the abundance that the Lord gave him. The Lord blessed his home, blessed all of these things, right? And the way the Lord works, when the Lord elevates you, you don't have to elevate yourself. You don't have to say, I did this, I did that, I did this, because the Lord will do it for you. So Solomon is a great example of this. This man's riches and his wealth and his wisdom was so great that it started to spread outside of the town he was in. So that's when he meets, let me see, I think it's the Queen of Sheba. Let me see. Yeah. So that's when he ends up meeting the Queen of Sheba, right? Queen of Sheba comes and she's testing him. She has like all these difficult questions. Like, let me see if he really is wise and he's really as great as everybody's saying. This woman goes and she's like, after he passes her test, she's like, you are more than I expected, right? So it's proven that Solomon is that guy, right? In terms of wisdom, in terms of wealth, in terms of all those good things, all the great qualities that you could ask for. So here's his downfall, though, right? So he was exalted in the Lord. The Lord exalted him in the physical realm. He was rich. His name was so great that it was spreading outside to other people. They were coming to see what he was about. Now here's where it gets a little difficult, right? So Solomon had a thing. He loved beautiful ladies, right? But here's what happened. So he gets so pulled away, so drawn away from what he is attracted to. I think he had like 700 wives and like 300, I don't know, princesses or something like that. Like, he had so many women that this man, he was becoming consumed with that, right? Like, this is clearly where his heart was, right? This man, he had so much love or appreciation for beautiful ladies that God created that it actually became detrimental. So over time of him collecting these ladies, they basically had him to turn to other false gods, which was the one thing that the Lord asked him not to do, was not to go out and turn to false gods, but to continue to live a righteous life in the Lord's eyes, and he will continue to bless him and bless his home and bless his generations. And so the reason I wanted to share this is because this is why we have to stay anchored in the Lord, right? Like, the Lord already tells us, you will be exalted. Not you might not. You will be exalted if you're humble. And the humble, what does it say? And the ones who exalt themselves will be humble, right? But if you remain humble in the Lord, you will be exalted. But we have to stay in that posture. It's not that we just stay in a posture of being humble for a little while until we get what we want. No. When you a millionaire, when you a billionaire, when you have more than enough money, when you can get all the girls you want, when you could get all the guys you want, when you could take all those vacations you want, when you could do all of those things, we cannot forget who put us there. We cannot forget who we are and whose we are. We have to keep the Lord at the center of it. And so I think Solomon is a perfect example of that, because even with all that wisdom, he was drawn away by his desires, by the things that he loved, right? Like, it's nothing like loving ladies, but imagine what Solomon's life could have looked like if he fell in love with one woman who had the same reverence for the Lord and kept them anchored, right? And sometimes when we go out and we do things in that nature and we forget where we started off at, or we get taken away by or drawn away by the things, and we forget the God who gave it to us, the one and only, then that's where it becomes dangerous. So when someone asked me this week, like, why do you always reference the Lord, or why do you always talk about God, it's because I never want to forget why I'm in the places I am. When people are like, oh, whoa, you did such a great presentation, or you got here, or you got there, I want them to know that, like, I didn't get here because of me, and I'm not going to stay here because of me. The only way I got here was with the Lord, and the only way I'm going to stay here is with the Lord, or continue to elevate. Y'all, I'm sorry, y'all see people moving in the background in the parking lot, but I just wanted to share that because the Lord is elevating his people, and he will continue to exalt us. But as we get exalted, keep your position. Keep your praying position. Keep your anchor position. Stay at God's feet. Don't get to the point where we getting so successful that we just get up and be like, I'm good. Look at me. It's me. I got it. I don't need you anymore. You taught me how to walk. I can run now. I'm good. Like, regardless to however high we get, we still must make time for the Lord, because that's how we got here. So that's my message for today, you guys. I try to keep it short, but I try to keep it passionate at the same time. Thank you guys for watching. Like, comment, share, subscribe, and remember, keep yourself anchored in the Lord, because we sometimes we can chase the riches, but don't chase the riches. You chase the Lord who elevates you, and you stay his feet, so that when he elevates you, you know who and what to do with the elevation. It's not just for you to have riches. It's not just for you to be at the top and brag and to boast around or showboat. It's for you to be trusted with these things. It means that the Lord is using you as a vessel, but we got to stay at his feet and stay humble and remember where it came from. So that's my message, y'all. Thank you. Like, comment, share, subscribe. Peace.